good evening, and welcome to my end of the week recap video here for Apple and plan ahead for next week. Closed out my 205 earnings play up here at 66, had a sell order, so automatically take me out at 100%. I was actually filled between 64 and 68, so I got out for an average of 66, was right at 100% minus a little bit of commissions, but that's neither here nor there. I wanted to hold those for earnings, but I cannot argue with 100% gain. Of course, in hindsight, it was a very nice decision to go ahead and close it out. You can see price action rolled over and came down 1.5% on the day. Probably going to be one of those sell-offs before earnings. There's still going to be one more trading session before earnings. Actually, two more trading sessions before earnings comes out because they are after hours on the 31st on Tuesday. So plenty of time to go ahead and position for earnings. Maybe wait for some deeper pullback to one of my levels. If it comes all the way down here, I might take a position a couple weeks out in the future for earnings. But with Apple, I don't really want to gamble too much, especially with the way some of the other names reacted. I'd hate to see something like what happened to Facebook happen to Apple. Although I kind of laugh at what happened to Facebook, not because people lost money, but because I have no faith in Facebook being that kind of or that profitable of a company. Anyways, I'm looking for pullbacks to the 50 SMA here. This previous support zone of 187.5, and way down here 175 calls at the 200 SMA. If price action comes all the way down here, I'll also look at 180 calls around this green line. But I don't foresee that happening too soon unless a Facebook type of move happens in earnings. Over here on the monthly time frame, trend is still up. We're simply pushing higher and higher and higher and meeting profit targets. Sellers are just simply taking profit off where they should. There's nothing wrong with that. Trend is still up, although we have not been able to maintain a new high above June's high. With any luck, earnings may come out, push Apple up to the first trillion-dollar company, and we'll all be happy. Well, bulls will be happy. As I zoom in here to the weekly time frame, just like in the S&P 500, we had a doji, well, very close to the S&P. We had a doji cross last week, and I was saying a move above should trigger buyers in for a continuation. That is exactly what occurred. But when it was unable to maintain, and you see this ugly 30-minute topping candle over here, it was time to go ahead and lock some profits in. The good thing is a lot of the volume today came in at lows. You can see right here when it initially dipped, put in the bottoming candle, came back down, put volume in at lows again, and closed on a tremendous amount of volume here at the end of the day today. On the daily time frame, this is what looks really bad. A gap up, zero follow through, and actually reversal. So maybe in for a little bit more of a pullback coming into next week into earnings before some sort of catalyst, or before the catalyst of earnings actually moves price. So for now, I'm just going to be patient. Most likely, I will wait for earnings to come out and trade the reaction. I don't want to be caught too far on the wrong side, but I also don't want to miss out if there's a massive move. So I will look to get some exposure at least, just not in a full-size position. For now, that would be my trade plan for Apple. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Come join us over the Trade Crew chat room. You can follow along with some of these plays, get a little bit more insight into some of these trade plans. Have a good weekend and good luck.